Okay, here we are cruising up past the garden into my hazel grove. I planted the first ones in 2013. It's now 2021, and they have had nuts periodically, every so often, but not lots. Now this year, right now it's March the 24th, and they're in full bloom with the pollen fronds, as you can see in this little tree, blowing in the breeze, catching the pollen and moving it up to the other plants to pollinate the seedlings. I've never seen them, I don't think, out this early. This is a northern variety, and what I've discovered is the northern ones can tolerate the cooler weather and will produce pollen, whereas some of the warmer varieties, which I have some of, they'll wait till later, or else their catkins dry out in the winter and don't produce pollen at all. Anyway, I'm quite happy about this. But as you can see, I have a bunch of them. To be precise, I have 17. 4 or 5 of them are just 2-year-old plants that I grew from nuts myself here. But oh, this one here, like I said, it's a northern variety. This one over here isn't actually a northern variety, but it has produced a bit of pollen this year. You can see the catkins are a little fatter, but they're not quite as advanced as the one I just showed you. Yeah. Anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. There's a baby one. He's 2 years old. I just put him in the ground, his permanent location, last fall. I planted him as a nut 2 years ago. And there's this one here. It's a southern variety, but it has some flowers on it. But the pollen is, if you can see, I don't know if you can see, the catkins are not as fat, flopping in the wind as the northern variety. But it has some flowers, so it'll probably produce a few nuts. And then around here we go. Another baby one, planted last fall. Ah, there's another one of the northern varieties. Big fat pollen catkins flopping in the breeze with the pollen, I'm sure, wafting back and forth. Yeah, it's nice. I never noticed the flowers before. I don't know if I can get that close with this camera. Tiny little flowers. Basically, they come out of just two little red stamens or whatever they are, pistils that come out of the end of each of the buds. I don't see any on this one. No, I can see them with my bare eyes, but I don't see them on the camera. But like I said, it's March the 24th. It's been like a week of beautiful weather between 12 and 20 degrees. A little rare. Hopefully this stuff doesn't get frozen in the winter. Anyway, here's more of my... Oops, that's not a hazelnut. That's a mulberry, a baby mulberry, young one, 3 or 4 years old. There's the hazels again up there. Right, nice batch of them. Yeah. There we go. Yep. And way over there, I'll probably mention it, in 2013, when I bought my first hazelnut trees, I bought a Siberian pine seedling. It was only about 6 inches tall. Oh, well, here we have, just as we're going by, butternuts I planted. That's a white oak I planted many years ago, I guess. There's another butternut. Yeah, over here. We go past the little oak tree here that Sherry gathered the nuts when she was carrying letters, and I planted the nuts and grew the little seedlings. Now they're about 6 feet tall, some of them. But over here, this is what we came over for. It's a Siberian pine. It's a nut pine, and it was 6 inches tall when we got it, and now it's got it in 2013. So you can see the growth joints on it. It's doing pretty good. It's not 6 feet tall, but it was slow to start, but now it's really spurting up. I think the way I figure it, 2021 now, we should have pine nuts off it by the time I'm 106. Anyway, that's a bit of the tour. The Siberian pine nuts, in fact, are a type of white pine. They're related to the white pines, although they have the bigger cones that produce the nuts. And if you look at them closely, they're a little more coarse. Their needles are a little more coarse, but they're related to the white pine. And to get it started, I had to gather up pine needles from under the white pine tree to provide the I guess it's whatever the microorganisms that feed the roots of the Siberian pine, because it's basically the same microorganisms that the white pine uses. Anyway, there we go. Look back down through the hazelnut grove down to the garden. We'll wander down that way. Wander down. Oh, and there's Andy's bees off to the right here. There's his bees. We'll go in and have a quick look since we're here. I think you might be able to see that they're pretty busy. I'll zoom in a bit. There. Yeah, they're coming and going. Bringing in pollen. That's a good sign. It's a good sign. Anyway, and away we go. Back to the garden. Back to the garden. Back past the little hazelnut trees. More hazelnut trees. Here's the garden. There's the garden ready to get some stuff in, maybe in a couple of weeks. And we look over here, and what do we see? My goodness, there's a beverage, tomato juice. I think I'll just sit down there, enjoy the weather, and have a tomato juice.